Hello everyone, and welcome back to Sonic Advance 2 on the Nintendo Game Boy Advance. I am one Welsh Sheep yet again, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be entering Music Plant Zone. This zone is one of my absolute favorite stages in this game, and it's primarily because this is such an original level idea. It's something that we don't really get to see much in the Sonic universe, you know, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of those stages where, I don't know, it's just full of unique originality. You never really get musical themed stages. I mean, you have to use xylophone keys, it's like bouncy pads. You have to use, like, I don't know what those things are meant to be, like maybe drum things to bounce up higher. I don't know, I just love the idea of the zone. It's such a fantastic, well-designed level idea, you know, ladies and gentlemen. And to be honest, this is probably one of the strong suits of the Sonic Advance series as a whole. Now, one thing that a lot of people may argue about a lot of Sonic games is, a lot of the times, they tend to revolve around the same sort of level tropes. You know, they usually all have this typical grass level, the typical city level, etc, etc, etc. But when it comes to Sonic Advance series of games, that's not so much the case. Because they tend to, obviously they have the typical gate level tropes like you'd expect, you know, the city the city green levels, all that stuff. But they generally have all these imaginative levels in between as well, and I don't know, I just like these stages. They're pretty damn good, to tell you that much. And the soundtrack in the stage cannot be, it can't be faulted. The soundtrack's phenomenal, what can I tells ya? What can I tells ya, indeed. I mean, listen to that, it's just a funky little beat, I love it. But one thing you probably saw me use at the very beginning of the zone is a bound attack, which returns from Sonic Adventure 2. That move I can basically use to destroy blocks from underneath me, and it's activated just by pressing the jump button and then pressing the B button. And apart from like one or two instances just to get hold of like special rings quicker, I never really found myself using the bound attack too much, because most of the passageways most of the passageways will open up when I use the bound attack. I can usually just sort of, I can usually go quicker by taking a different route, you know, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, right at the very end of that stage, just before we got past the goalpost, you should have looked out for that rail I grinded on. Be very careful of that rail, because in between that rail and in between the goalpost itself, there is a massive, and I mean absolute massive, bottomless pit. So if you don't want to die, if you don't want to fall in and you know, have a bad day, then I advise not going into that bottomless pit, to tell you that much, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, moving back on, we're into another special stage, and this one by here, this special stage number 3, honestly is, I find it to be one of the easier special stages, just because the rings themselves are lined out very straightforwardly, you know. I see a trail of rings going straight, and then I just sort of follow them until I get to the next destination, you know, ladies and gentlemen. Like, seriously, these special stages are really, really, really easy to complete. Although, there is a chance of you failing, because, the big way to actually complete these special stages is basically learning the patterns of the rings, learning where to go from what points, you know, ladies and gentlemen. And if you master these special stages, if you play them enough to learn where every individual ring is located, you can generally find yourself just going from ring path to ring path to ring path, just gaining this grand, fantastic multiplier, you know, ladies and gentlemen. Although one thing that does kind of bug me about these stages, though, however, is the fact that while we have Zero in a stage as like a general mook trying to take us down and trying to hurt us for rings, there isn't really any other obstacles to deal with. We don't have to deal with any bombs along the way, and even if we get hit by Zero, you know, if we jump at the very last second, we're still going to be safe from losing our rings from him, you know, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know, while I like these special stages, I do feel the difficulty could probably, yeah, it could probably be ramped up just teensy bit, you know, ladies and gentlemen. But huzzah, with that we have another emerald in the bag, and with that we can move on to the next part of Music Plant. Alright. Yeah, I still find it really annoying as well. I brought this up at the very beginning of the previous part, but it really gets on my nerves, the fact the characters themselves that you can play as, they're all locked out from the start, and you have to unlock them to play as them, right? Now, in a game like Sonic Adventure, because it's a plot-driven game for the most part, I usually don't mind this, I don't mind this in certain games, but when it comes to 2D platformers, right? You shouldn't have to lock out different gameplay styles just because, we need to give people a reason to replay the game over and over again, because this game has what I can only basically call padding out of the arse, and it's not the good kind of padding, because the general game itself, the general zones, they don't change with any of the characters. All the characters go through the exact same zones with no level design differences whatsoever. You have to beat every stage in this game as every single character to unlock everything in this game, ladies and gentlemen. And not only that, in Sonic Advance 1, you could get the Chaos Emeralds as any character in any order you want, right? That's not the case in this one. You can get the emeralds in any order you want, but you do need to collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds as every single character to unlock everything, which basically means you're going to be spending a great deal of time playing this game, ladies and gentlemen, to unlock everything in the game. And personally, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth the time to go out of your way to beat the game 100% as basically any character, because it's a pain in the ass to get the special stages, but I don't think it's worth your time to go through the stage as every single character, constantly redoing the game constantly over and over and over and over. And I'm always pushing for replayability in games. I love replayable games, right? But there's replayability in games, and then there's just needless padding that is not needed, I want to be able to want to go and try the game as the other characters, not be forced to play as the other characters, and I want to be able to play those characters from the get-go, not have to play as Sonic to unlock my favorite gameplay style. Like, I had to beat the first 2 levels, well, actually not the first 2 levels, the first zone of Sonic to unlock the easy mode of the game, and I'm like, what? That's ridiculous. The easy character should be unlocked from the start. It's meant to be the newbie character. I don't know, it's just a little thing that grinds my gears a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to go to the next boss fight, and now it's time to rescue Tails. Eggman, leave him alone. No. He got in my way, so now he's on the pole. I really wish I could do a proper Eggman voice on the level of Mike Pollock, but I'm just gonna have to stick with my over-the-top Sonic exaggerated voice. Well, now you're going down. Ow! That hurt! Ow! But anyway, this boss fight by here, I'm making it look a lot more challenging than it actually is. All you really need to do is wait for the cylindrical platforms to pop out of Eggman's body, jump through the center of the cylindrical platforms to land on top of them, and then boop, Eggman's cockpit himself. From time to time, these platforms will shoot out an energy blast at you from a turret that they have concealed away, but it's very easy just to hit the energy turret whenever it pops out, and honestly, you have so many rings coming at you in this boss fight. Despite my performance, I would say this is easier than the first boss fight of the game, ladies and gentlemen, so just keep booping him until he goes down, and what can I tell ya? Stuff is pretty damn tubular, I'll tell you that much. But hey, we rescue Tails, which means now we can utilize Tails to fly! Yeah! Thanks, Sonic! Eggman just came out of nowhere! Eggman? What's he plotting this time? I've gotta hurry, see ya, Tails! Huh? Sonic, wait for me! I do apologize for my Tails voice, oh Jesus Christ. But anyway, we can now play as Tails, and as such, we are going to be playing as Tails. Like, seriously, this playthrough is 4 parts long, but if I wasn't editing anything out, this playthrough would be more closer to around 13 to 15 parts in length, you know, ladies and gentlemen, because I actually had to beat this game as every single character for this playthrough will work. But if you press the up button as Tails, he falls asleep. Ah! A sudden bout of narcolepsy just kicked in. Ugh. Don't you just hate when that happens? I know I do. But anyway, Ice Paradise Zone is an ice level, ladies and gentlemen, and this is... I love this stage so much. This is such a fantastic stage, and I think it's just because of the flashlights in the background. I mean, it's such a simple thing to put, but it adds so much to the level design, you know, in terms of the way it looks. It just looks stunning. I love the stage, just out of general aesthetics alone. Let alone the music, which is just this fantastic Christmas-type stage, you know? You know, I have a weird history with ice levels and snow levels in video games, see, ladies and gentlemen. I love them, but at the same time, I dislove them. It depends on the game itself, but basically, if something feels Christmassy, I generally like it as a stage, you know, ladies and gentlemen. And this stage definitely gets the Christmassy feel down, and I'm pretty certain it's just because of the soundtrack itself. But, yeah, also, Tails' tail whip ability from Sonic Advance 1 also makes a return. You just press the B button, boop-de-boopity-boop, and you can, you know, you can just whip people. Whoop-ha!
What's whoop-ha? You know, whipped. Whoop-ha!
And we can also utilize Tails' flying ability as well if we so choose, which, it's actually extremely useful if you want to collect the 7 special rings. Like, if you miss a jump or mistime a jump, you can use Tails' flying powers in order to get hold of a special ring you've missed, which I do appreciate a great deal, you know, ladies and gentlemen. So Tails is definitely one of the easier characters to play through to collect the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Which I like. I can dig it. Can you dig it? And also, as I said, every single character has their own R button tricks as well, but for the most part they all do the same thing. Like, if you press the up button and press the R button, they will all sort of go up in the air a little bit. Maybe there's some slight differences in terms of their movement itself, but, you know, in general, if you push a button and you start flying in a certain direction, you're pretty certain you're going to go in that direction, you know, ladies and gentlemen. But, yeah, just jump up here. There we go. There's the 7th special ring ripe for the taking. Oh, yes. Yay! But yeah, getting into the special stages themselves yet again, I like I said previously, it is such a pain in the ass to get into the special stages itself, and it drives me up the wall insane as a result, because these stages... The stages themselves are really easy, and I think that's to make up for the pain in the ass effort to get into these things, but getting into the Chaos Emerald stages, sure, they should be a challenge, but they shouldn't feel like busy work. I shouldn't have to look up things and learn the level layouts perfectly to gain access to these special stages, because, you know, when I played this game back in the day, it took me ages, I mean literal months, to gain access to the, you know, to the final stage. It took me months to get all 7 Chaos Emeralds, and then I realized I had to get all 7 Chaos Emeralds as every single character, and when I found that out, I just said screw it, and I cheated to get my Chaos Emeralds, you know, my first time through, ladies and gentlemen. I just grabbed an action replay, checked in the code, whoop-de-doo. And if you people are playing this game alongside me, and not bothering with the special rings, you know what I recommend? I recommend cheating. I actually recommend cheating, because this isn't worth your time. You know, this game doesn't really respect the player's time in terms of how they manage the Chaos Emerald system, so honestly, if you're playing this game, just cheat to get the Chaos Emeralds. You give yourself less of a headache that way, and you can probably have more fun. Because this game is, without a doubt, at its best when you're not bothering with collecting the special rings. It's at its best when you're taking... Well, when you're doing a Sonic game level, basically, when you're going from point A to point B without having to worry about anything in between, you know? Like, that's one of the best things about the series, you know? You're just going through level to level casually, trying to get through it as fast as you can. And that's why this game hits its high points. That's why I always prefer Act 2s when I'm doing this playthrough, just because, I mean, I sort of segmented this playthrough off where I can get the Chaos Emeralds in Act 2 of each zone if I want, But I figured I better get it all in Act 1, so then I can get a nice rhythm going, you know? But basically, this game could have done the Chaos Emerald system better. That's all I'm gonna say. It's just a pain in the ass. Just cheat if you're playing this game alongside me or something, or if you're playing this for the first time, because it's just less of a headache. And plus, you can still do the Chaos Emerald stages if you beat them, so if you still want to get into the Chaos Emerald stages, well, cheat and then maybe get special rings when you really can be bothered, you know? Basically, cheating is the best aim. It's the best thing I can give you. And it's not many video games I would consider cheating, but, you know, this is one of the ones. This is one of the ones I actively encourage it, but I digress. Yes! Invulnerability. You know, this is a power-up I never really see in video games that much anymore. Like, in most video games, you never really get a chance to see an invulnerability power-up too often. Although one thing that kind of bugs me is the traditional dun 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 invincibility music has been taken out of this game, ladies and gentlemen. Sonic Advance 2, as far as I can recall, I could be wrong, because I can't remember the invincibility of every Sonic game off the top of my head, but I do believe Sonic Advance 1 was the last Sonic game to use the typical dun 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 sort of tune, you know, ladies and gentlemen. Which I do find to be a bit of a shame, actually, because whenever I think of Sonic the Hedgehog, that is usually the tune that comes to my head, you know, ladies and gentlemen. Because even some of the cartoons incorporated that song into their actual melodies for their intros and stuff, you know? It's just such a proper tune for the Sonic, and even though I don't even know if it's when the last time it was properly used in a game. You know, outside of invulnerability music, I think I was probably in... Yeah, I think the last time that was really properly used as like a theme song for a game was like Sonic 2. But, you know, it's good music, and it's a shame that it's been taken out and replaced with new original jingles for every game. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing. They replaced the invulnerability music with their own little jingles in each game, but you know, it's just a little bit of nostalgia trade-off. You know, I lose a bit of nostalgia for something new and original. But I digress. Anyway, this boss by here is one of the more pain-in-the-ass bosses of the game. As you can tell from periodically, Eggman himself will drop a bomb onto the ground. When the bomb drops, you are going to have to try and jump over the rocks and explosions that form. And then once you've done that, you have to try and jump onto the little platform that is hovering and connected to Eggman's mech in order to bounce off it and boop him. This boss fight takes so much time to get used to, and as you get to the pinch mode of the boss, after you get to the halfway point, he starts going mad. He starts just dropping bombs like no tomorrow. All systems, full power. Think you can make it over here, Tails? So yeah, this boss fight is a pain in the ass, but I like it. You know, I like the general design of the boss. It's just... it can take a little bit of getting used to in order to avoid all of the bombs he drops effectively and then boop him directly into the face, you know, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, that is it for this part, ladies and gentlemen, so thank you all for watching, hope you all enjoyed, don't be sheepish people, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye!